순도 점바 그런데 애니베 뭐네 타네 라시 탐제기 등이 배두가 위치에도 생ኛ바체 담배쇼 생ኛ바체 애니 오도 체제 그런 전한 애니 냠도 송로나
I am going to be reciting the Sangye Chodang, the Bodhicitta prayer. And so while I'm doing that, then please do try to develop a good motivation, thinking that for the sake of oneself and all other sentient beings, I'm going to listen to these.
상계 최단 소기 전남라 창조 바도 다니 접수시 다게 최세 계배 전남기 로라 편지 상계 로바라쇼 상계 최단 소기 전남라 창조 바도 다니 접수시 다게 최세 계배 전남기 로라 편지 상계 로바라쇼 상계 최단 소기 전남라 창조 바도 다니 접수시 다게 최세 계배 전남기 로라 편지 상계 로바라 쇼 마요나게 타당에 베슨제 탐제게 돈도 톱잘라나 메와 양타 보조베 상계기 보마를 뭐 선딩에로 토바샤 대시도 담배추 섬몰레와 생이 무구노 군주르만 레와세도 데셈바라 체 알레 메데요 마르벨
Yuri.
메데요네 아니
Oh, sorry. Now you could, after I've translated, then you can please offer the mandala. So for the sake of all sentient beings, I must achieve enlightenment in this very lifetime. And for that reason, I'm going to listen to the Dharma teachings. So please have that motivation.
We recite a Shomandala offering prayer. O zo je be ge jo je be do dro ri ro le je ni
ngay panje la dine geshe la jegido geshe la ani testele geshe tenze soba la jegido dine shenda tanda oh papi sola che dine shenda ta le chen sing men do khashe jegido changwa testele.
So let's delay greetings to the people, some of the people that Rinpoche has recognized on the screen, Geshe Tenzin Zopa, Fabrizio La, and so on.
Ma xue di en gese la rin so de mas ta ma xue yin che zang ke sing ma lo zhong chong ko lu xue chen lo zhong chong ko lu de mang gu yo de ne di ngon de so che dan de di ko de bo xie la de gese la rin so de ma de be ke do de be nyam ne che de wo de song zang nge len di xue che de yin.
What I'm going to be explaining is the 37 practices. And so previously I did mention about the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. So the Wheel of Sharp Weapons mind training text is quite long, really. So I thought it would be good to explain this as by way of a preliminary teaching. And I think this is really very very good text, and it's somehow it's very very direct, very easy, very sort of straightforward to put into practice.
Dan sangat mudah.
Di ani so de ke kangjian zhuang le ya ta ji dang sanje zhong dian dian de ma gyu xia ba de gyu ni ani lama siling ba ne chou ji ban de a di xia che ta de ma pa guo jian de su ani gui jiao wa o kan da o ta du mi na ba xian ba jiao ban dong de ba che kong ma che gyu ni ta kan da de lo zhong guo de ma gyu ni ani mu ji tong mian sang guo qi kong gyu ta di pa do qian ma ta di ne che pe kangjian zhuang la ya ani pige 청주 생계 단위 무엇 고라 비게 다 간다 청주 선발에 체제 단다 간다 무엇이야 근데 망고 시라 청별이 제나네 아니 계속 무주 토면 상고 쉬안디 디나네 다 간다 용 잡아시 그래 계속 청주 선발 체제 그렇죠.
This is a teaching that comes originally from the Buddha. How it came to Tibet is Lama Atisha received the mind training teachings from Lama Salingpa, and then he in turn, Lama Atisha in turn passed those teachings to his disciple, Domtompa, who is regarded as an actual Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. And then gradually those teachings came down to Ngulchu Dhamabhadra, who is the author of this teaching. So there were many real Bodhisattvas in Tibet at that time, and amongst those, he's really one of the most famous now. I'm going to go straight into the explanation of this teaching, this text, and so there are three points to go through. The first one is an explanation of the reason for composing the text. this treatise, this text. Then there's an explanation of the actual text itself, and then there's an explanation of the conclusion. No.
아니 대주 좀be 다 동 통마텔 가래서나 될래야 솜대샤 당보 땡주의 천체 천개 돈체 되네 쳐버 줘봐지 잠바 탐자 왔어 어디 솜대샤.
And for that first part, we have first of all an explanation of the meaning of the name, so explaining the name. Then secondly, there are there's the worship, offering expression of worship, and then thirdly the promise to compose the text. No.
땡주의 천리야 아니 계세 라린 소드마진 쉬고요래 계세 라린 소드마스.
And so the title of the text is the 37 Practices of Bodhisattvas. No.
계사디 개바 상계 쉬고요. 상계 다 상계 팅거 봐. 그래서는 방자 믿음의 초 탐제파 방과. 아니 도저 시제권을 비게 로를 개바. 다 비게 시제를 유제 치마 지도 치마 시신도 무슨도 참. 오, 다 간다 딘디시라 아니 개와서 상계에서 뭐다 도잖아.
And so in the title in the English it says Bodhisattvas. So this literally in the Tibetan would be the sons of the victorious ones. So the victorious one refers to the Buddha, and so the Buddha means, an enlightened being means somebody who has abandoned all faults and all limitations on the one hand. On the other hand, has their mind has developed fully so that they can see all phenomena, everything which exists directly. No. And then as for why the Bodhisattvas are called the children of the victorious one, of the Buddha, this is because they are the children that are born from the heart, from the mind of the enlightened ones. No.
아니 이게 가사탄데 청주선배 청주선 깨야다. 되네 아니 이게 상계 톱저터도 상계 고방 두단티. 아니 비게 락다치야. 라네 어디 송요. 라네서.
And then why they're called practices. So Langlen means like taking into hand, literally. So anyway, why they're called practices is because this is something that explains how to practice at the level of a beginner through to developing bodhicitta, and then all of the other practices that one needs to engage in order to attain finally the state of Buddhahood. No.
소두마스나 아니다. 킹거봐. 전신 수주 소변요. 뒤뒤chen. 지단 계세가 라네 망고요 뒤네 님부 딱 숨주 소변나. 준중 님부스네 되그래. 간다. 전신 숨주 소변나라. 뒤에 숨자 숨주 소변마서 또.
And then it's called 37 practices, right? So 37. And this refers to the fact that even though there are countless Bodhisattva practices, all of them can be summarized into these 37. Another way of putting it is all of the meaning of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara is summarized into these 37 verses. 37 practices. No.
소리 맞아. 다 디디 송알. 다 디네 다 쳐봐 니버 쳐봐 쳐줘. 쇼인다.
Now I want to talk about the offering of, or the expression of worship. No.
쳐줘 디디리샤. 너무 로그쇼레야스. 다디 자가게다 봐. 선스테게 너무 로그쇼레야스.
No. And so right at the beginning there, at the top of the page, if you're looking at the same version as I have, the one with the Indonesian, it says Namo Lokeshwaraya. So this is in the Sanskrit language. No.
나모스나 되게라 차차바체. 로그스는 지den체. 쇼라야스나 쇼라사디 원주스요. 야사라체. 아니 지데 원주라 차차로 오스치미레. 다 돈다 현대에서 차차브레 도전.
No. And so, well, the Namo means I prostrate, Chaksel in Tibetan, I prostrate, and then Lokeshwaraya. So this is like the Loke in Lokeshwaraya is like the world, and then the Shwaraya means something like the master of the world. And so what it means is, anyway, I prostrate to Chenrezig. No.
야가게 단다 선스리게 매야 가래서는 취 콩좀봐 다 간다全部的 상계도 그래 먼저 니 다조 가래서는 아니 단다 야가하고 윤수 줄선 인자 아니 도스매 그래 니 가서 콩좀봐 인스
This was written, these words were written by Tomizampo, and the reason why he wrote though he's Tibetan, the reason why he wrote these words in Sanskrit was to show the authenticity of the teaching. In other words, to show that actually this teaching traces back to the Buddha. No.
아니 급티도 야가나를 땡준 제비나 땡준 제비디 아니 빈디다 딱 간다 야가나를 뒤도 키도 빈디다 망고 여러봐 빈디다 아니 배 원에 쇼바도마 땡준디 아니 비게 제베 가다 튕고도 면도 챈데레도도 간다 어딘데 체제마 상매마도 스탠드 챈디이나 뭐 내주 제베 가다 튕바 아니 비게 던천보 여봐 딘데시나 아니 렉소체 땡저 좀 봐봐라야. 我顶的是，其实等于的熊的，呢，这位熊的没这么顶的伊呢，没跑，等于我要嘛嘞。加上俺们等等那些顶的大家看就嘛就总说我要嘛嘞，这算在呗，有个他过，看他顶的送一张空准吧啥的，我大家的空准么点的嘞。
When we talk about it being authentic, having a good source, this teaching, in those in the old days, like in India and in Tibet, when a text was composed, then first of all there would the great masters would check to make sure that that teaching really did conform with the Buddha's own teachings, and if it did, then they would they would recognize that, and then if they would show recognition of that, and if they decided that it didn't really conform with the Buddha's teachings, then they would say very clearly, this is something that shouldn't be recited, and so forth. And so it's not like these days where anybody can compose anything. So in those days, they really did check very well. And so when we talk about the source, the authentic source, then this really shows that it's a very fine and very great teaching. No.
大家个拍过语呢，就根本能行切切，我听的空中不影啥去，别送啥，那都送的，都这样。
No. And besides this, Nguju Dhammapadra himself had gained some pretty special experiences through his practice of bodhicitta, and so this also attests to the source of the teaching, shows how how wonderful the source of the teaching is. No. No. Then just below that, you have some more words of which are also included in the expression of worship. So it says, at all times, I prostrate with respectful 3 doors to the Supreme Guru and the Protector Chenrizi, who, through realizing that all phenomena neither come nor go, strives solely for the welfare of migrators. No.
다 관계 사대 파조 제레스 파조 제레스게 네 캠베 이시 관계 스타 캠베 이시 저와 관계 있 세제 출근 아니 출근 그 내로디 아니 베게 치마 치신 생난 치마 치신 생니 아니 오 내로 전이야 너무 해봐 다 간다 디스버리스 스티장체
So this is saying that when it says so I prostrate anyway in the second line there it says Chenrizi who, so that who is referring to Chenrizi, the supreme supreme Arya Chenrizi, who sees the way of being, the ultimate way of being of all phenomena, everything which exists. So he, by seeing the ultimate way of being of phenomena, sees that they lack coming and going, as it says here. No, they neither come nor go. They have no coming nor going. No.
되게 최근 토마니네 라왕게 줘 말에 땡데리다 제가 라왕 줘 매봐 아니 정신이 매봐 간다 딱제 타게데 태봐 뭐 딘데 지금 무슨 세장스
This is talking about how he sees that all phenomena right from the beginning have always lacked any kind of independent existence, that they have no existence at all by their own nature. So this actually is talking about how he sees that all phenomena are free of the 8 extremes of coming and going and so forth, and how he doesn't just see them, it sees them all directly. No.
근데 다 세고 이네 다 가려서는 전 담발 근데 세고 이네야 군족도 세. 다 군족도. 아니 자원 니지 챔피언 거 그러면 타지도 좀 반제 쟁게. 아니 오다 오도스타 좀 반제에 다 간다. 아니 신데라. 아니 청주선배 수입된 거 바과 젠데스가. 오도스타 되자표.
So this is a verse of praise to Chenrizi, who sees all that, and yet within understanding all that, nevertheless strives solely for the welfare of the migrators, the welfare of the sentient beings. No.
제가 파고 젠데스 다 간다 찬스 예배 세진 계시제 상계 좀 된 데기다. 오, 단다 세그 투체 두수여로 코나 창마 상계스 말에. 이는야 상계 좀 된 된지된데라. ane sangye java tindu kona zu chengju samba sa jubi cui chen ta kanda sangye jingma do kanda damba yi nga sangye yin jingma do chunggu ya marwa jaza kona zu tena sangye yi ne ane chengju samba cui chen ne odu spe bare disong yin zang tena sangye re disong yin zang sangye gi ane chunyi rbe ziji nyaba xia xia ma di nga ne ane pigi rbe tenne ta kanda do dena ane pigi nyamsha da jebdo mange bare nyamba xia xinbe nga ne simji tuen zeng sangye ma do yo ma o da di kwa ne ane chen desu de zhang piu yo to chen
Arya Chenrezi, Arya Avalokiteshvara, if you like, is one of the 8 close Bodhisattvas that were in the amongst the disciples of the Buddha. Actually, they were all fully enlightened, and yet they showed the aspect of being 10th level Bodhisattvas. Because of course, at that time, you had just the one. You could only have the one Buddha. So what they did was they appeared in the aspect of these 10th level Bodhisattvas that were disciples of the Buddha. So nevertheless, they were actually enlightened beings, and as enlightened beings, they were at all times absorbed in equipoise on the ultimate nature, the ultimate expanse of all phenomena, and at the same time able to they were while in that equipoise, they were able to function in the world. So this is something that only an enlightened being can do, to have no contradiction, no conflict, no contradiction between being completely absorbed in equipoise on the ultimate reality of all phenomena, and at the same time able to teach and so forth, just like during the break time between meditations. No. And so that's the way that Arya Chenrezi is being praised here, as having those two non-contradictory. And then it also says here, the Supreme Guru and the Protector Chenrezi. So what this means is he is saying that I pay homage to you, Chenrezi, inseparable from my Guru, who is the one who shows me the way perfectly along the path. And so you two are inseparable, and I pay homage to you always with my 3 doors of body, speech, and mind. No.
말스타 숨바들어 숨바 탐자 데이터디 측제 징도 팬딩 중에 조배 상계는 탐지 둘의 중리 대안이 대 라린실라 라레베 계산한 게 라니 시합을 차스 어디 들으셔.
Now we go on to the third of these 3 points, which is the promise to compose. And so if you go down a little bit towards the bottom of the page, it says the perfect Buddhas, source of benefit and happiness, arise from accomplishing the sublime Dharma. And as that accomplishment depends on knowing the Dharma practices, I will explain the Bodhisattva practices. No.
중요하다 베게 오다 조티 조게 상계디 상계의 총으로 제상 어디 팬디 중내디 상계의 제상 상계디 간의 총으로서는 유매바다 게임에벌이 총 말레스 땡뭐 로바 남긴 내고 랑아라서 찍고钱이 요발라 통마 전주 쇼도 토끼 아니 토끼 아니 두바 냠시다 친구 두바 태서 냠시 나니 충분해스 제장 당아라서 그게 톱장 상계 고만 되기요 제가 대송자 뒤에는 가다 상계 주당다 제당디 아니 신고를 제가 뒤에는 근데 도구를 뒤라는 아니 셰 개심으로 제가 뒤만 아니 셰가 인송 도 뒤치네
It says the source, the perfect Buddha is the source of benefit and happiness. So benefit means on a temporary level, for the time being, the Buddhas are the source of benefit for all beings, and then they're also the source of the ultimate long-term happiness of all sentient beings. So these Buddhas, the perfect Buddhas, they don't come into being without depending upon any kinds of cause and conditions. Their source is the practices of the practice of the path. In other words, in the beginning, they generate the mind of enlightenment, the bodhicitta, and then having generated bodhicitta, they practice the path of the 6 perfections, and then ultimately through that they became enlightened. And so for us to be able to do that, to achieve enlightenment just like them, then we have to know how to do that. We have to know how to do that. So Tomizambo is saying, for that reason, I'm going to explain how that's done in a sort of like a summarized way. No.
등등 예외 뒤잘라야 계획이 계획이 다 job 냠네 치즈 아니 비게 가서 전주 선배 되는 망고 싫어서요. 이내야 디 하장 그 망고래. 제가 아니 단단 내래 가르신 디 인구 뒤수 뒤니 거대버치. 달라면 명아스 그때 때는 거대보다 원에 단람 냠네 체대부 용으로 와 제가 망고도 뭐지 뒤치지 마 송고 인스.
And he says, I'm going to explain these practices in a sort of summarized way. So what this means is that there are actually a huge number of texts, texts, treatises, and so forth, which explain how the disciples should practice the path. But now, so he says, I'm going to take the essence out of all of those and put them into a form, summarized form, which is more straightforward to practice. So this is just like the Guru's pith instructions. When we receive the Buddha's pith instructions or quintessential instructions, then we have a way, an explanation of how to practice, which is sort of like simplified for us. So that's how he's taking the essence and explaining it to us in these verses. No.
이 좁니 다 흉어들라 흉어 전달을 들려 숨도 숨 당고 샘기의 규체 되네 샘기 응어 시합체 샘기가 랍제 시합스 숨을 시.
So that completes those preliminary explanations, those 3 preliminary explanations, and now we go on to the actual, the explanation of the actual text itself. And so this also has 3 parts to it. First of all, there's an explanation of the causal practices for being able to develop bodhicitta. Then there's an explanation of bodhicitta itself. And then there's an explanation of the practices to engage in once one has generated bodhicitta. No.
숨속도 난게 당고티 다 흉물 되게 되는 많은 친구들.
No. Okay, so here then the verses start to be numbered. So of the 37 verses for the 37 practices, we look at the first one. So it says, at this time, when the difficult to gain ship of leisure and fortune has been obtained, ceaselessly hearing, pondering, and meditating day and night in order to liberate others and oneself from the ocean of psychic existence is the Bodhisattva's practice. No.
아니 대바 예당 조버 주신 아니 去접게 참배 류딘디 아니 대조 추진스 아니 추수를 송 다단다 년아 세나 아니北京的 수진서디 수수권被대조 거를 추진이 배서지 봐 대조 추진 도송 다디被现在men다 구주 청보요 말한조다现在的吧아니 가소래 차도 주기 지고 살 아니 디무로 사 베트 코라 디 임베스 바 고고도 와 제상 어디 수긴chen 비시비지기 내가 첨보 내가
No. It mentions this ship of leisure and fortune. Okay, so leisure and fortune. This refers to the leisures and fortunes, the 8 leisures, the 10 fortunes or endowments, as we often call them. So in other words, you have those 18. So it's having all those 18 is like a ship, or is that what it says? A ship? Yeah, the ship of leisure and fortune. So in poetry, so this is a very, very powerful image for us to understand about the leisures and fortunes, using this sort of like physical object as an image to understand how important the leisures and fortunes are. No. And it's described as difficult to achieve, and so we know from the Lamrim or stages of the path teachings that it's that this human life with those 18 qualities is very difficult to achieve in terms of the causes that you need to practice in order to achieve it, in terms of the number of the having all 18, and in terms of analogies. There are analogies that explain how difficult it is to achieve. So even though it's so difficult to achieve, at this time we actually have achieved it. We actually do have it. No.
아니 당신 다 랑이 이내다 현다 이내 코베 소리 오다 대약 코베 소리야 된 땡게 대발은 왜 체도 대체외 체도 어느 가르서 니다 체도 예와 매반에 니선 거 뭐지 그뒤 이내 니즈 딱 어느 가르서는 니선 거 뭐. 다 뒤던다를 조 비기 취냠내 차 니선 거 뭐. 오 그래 특성 검수 사죠 어디 쳐버려서
And so this human life with these 18 attributes, which is so difficult to achieve and which nevertheless we have achieved. Here the author is talking about using this opportunity, not not letting the time go by meaninglessly, and not wasting this opportunity, but rather using it for pulling oneself and all other sentient beings out of samsara and to the state where we have lasting happiness. And so he says, in order to achieve that goal, then he talks of day and night, unwaveringly applying oneself to listening and reflecting. So actually he's talking about the threefold process of listening to the teachings, reflecting on their meaning, and then meditating on that. No.
Lelo che ta tiring kamne sanyin che chos ma jangai chorwa tinde mebe che ani tibo chimbu gebe shinye le en bige o dama nyang gores samye che ta thoma di nyensen ko ma nyabati ani tibo chimbu gebe shin ne khaje be ma nye to bi ne en so sun je di che ba zang ge ani shibuji gi tang ne ta ne ge gezin chimbo yo de khaje to ba khaje ja che ba zang ge sam ku yang a yo
So it says, let's see again, pondering and meditating day and night, ceaselessly. So it says ceaselessly, right? In that first line, ceaselessly hearing, pondering and meditating day and night. And so when it says ceaselessly, this is talking about being free of laziness. In other words, don't procrastinate. Don't think I can do it some other time. I can do it tomorrow or some other time. Rather, so without that kind of procrastination, without any kind of laziness, to listen to the teachings on the profound Dharma from a Mahayana teacher, a Mahayana guide, and to do this as much as we can. So the more we're able to listen to teachings from, a Mahayana teacher, Mahayana guide, then the more we'll find like it sort of like opens up your mind and makes your mind very makes your mind very opened up, relaxed. No.
Tebe demete mena ani migyune na una le ke tungu marwa tenangshi jazan tebe yena shira yobsi de tebe chona na ganga shigres tebe chona sheba yuji tebe tama yimba bangs ten yimba da mayimba ganga shen ten mayimba pa o ten yimba zhongni de chigres an tebe diglen do gochi tebe nyangyen de batos ani digwetele ani rangla tungye yogu yoba ngone thane ki bige 강의 친구 연구요. 딱 대송에서 디글렌 돈이 양인 되고 타바 땡기 되고 타봐야 돼. 타바 땡기 거 상고 타고 그랬어.
The Buddha taught that with wisdom, that even though you have wisdom, if you don't listen to the teachings, if you don't have that kind of background of listening to the teachings, which are like a lamp to illuminate the Dharma for you, then it's just like having eyes but sitting there in the dark. You won't be able to see anything. So listening to the teachings is like a lamp. And then through listening to the teachings, so that's one positive thing about listening to the teachings. Also through listening to the teachings, then you know the difference between what's meaningful and what's not meaningful, and what's not meaningful, then you abandon. You know what the difference is between those actions which bring suffering and which don't. So then you reject those actions which bring suffering, and then that means that through listening to the teachings, you will eventually achieve nirvana, the place, the state beyond sorrow. Now.
Any that Kaze Toba using any sometime among sometime be Rangi Bezolo, Samutani, Javacheni, or Javache, Kandan Nishi Givach, Moy Nezu Karim Babe, Chimachi Sheba. Or the two Kares and Taji Chen, Kanda Naranzo, any Shirap Shira Keshambo, Shirap. Nangwechula, Tibuchimichul, having Shirap, Shirap Javacheni. Sugi yilu milu nelu ti chima chishi shesma ani dagara ta kanda pigi kasa ani chima chin shesma ta ngone tane dagara madu rosa milu son shine diga kompa chen komsati dinde chen kongu yore desonza ani tösang komsong sati ta kechambu shira sonza odi gese la ni yin sjati
So it talks about listening, reflecting, and meditating. So we listen to the teachings, and then when it says to reflect or contemplate, then what that means is we need to analyze the meaning of the teachings that we've heard and try to gain certainty so that we can understand the meaning precisely. So in this way, our wisdom develops, and wisdom is very important because the wisdom is what enables us to understand the ultimate way of being of phenomena and to understand that precisely. So then, once you have that kind of understanding, then the advice is to meditate on that. And so that's why it is that in this verse, he talks about how important it is to use this human life for listening to the teachings, reflecting on the meaning, and meditating. No.
제가 텐션 디스 단단 알아서 대된 조조고 텐션 디니 니가 신을 깔래 가고래스 딱디 깔래 가고래 니를 가르스는 기부 둔두 랑 기부스는 너가 때마 디 둔두 가르 두비 있네 땡기 때봐 상계 고마 좀네 두통이 타바성 두비 있네 두통이 어떤 거에 애네 세치마다 아주 많달라 비게 껴버치마 비게 대소 가서 오래 텐조고 리디 양 비게 하드미 딘데 토비아에 벨레하고체 두토야 딘데지 아니 용기 이렇게 될 편법 모르나 다들 딘데지 모르고 다들 예배관데 모르나 치리 양다죠 치리 딘데지 양타 대졸리디 그리스도 그래 칼란주로 용거 말했어
Okay, so then there's a verse in the Bodhisattva's way of life, the Bodhicharyavatara, where Shantideva says that once we have these leisures and endowments, and so he's talking about this very life that we have right now with these leisures and endowments. So these leisures and endowments are so hard to get, but now we have them. And so then he talks about the being, which means by which he means those who have the ability, the capacity. When we have this kind of precious human life, we can use it for even achieving enlightenment. With this precious human life, we can even achieve enlightenment. We can achieve, if not enlightenment, then liberation from cyclic existence. And at least, the very least goal that we should aim at achieving once we have these leisures and endowments is again this kind of opportunity with a precious human rebirth, or anyway to be born as a human being or a god, which is something we can very easily do when we have these leisures and endowments. So he says this is what we should do. And then he says, if we don't do that, then when are we going to get this kind of opportunity again? And he says, actually, we won't get this opportunity again in the future. So we have to use this opportunity right now. No.
我家长我躺在被台吧，台脚是，可是呢，让了听经药吧，啥呀东呀困呀药吧，听经药吧，大概呢是躺在去先验药吧，去学苦个药吧，那让我呢上不上过药吧，他看到那么给微信一躺到，那可能需要药吧，听着这个对对了，那健康开药嘛，没了健康开药嘛，苍嘛，那我呢他那台脚旅店第一对上吧，台全部对外给，那让完药，多些呢，让完药。
When we talk about the leisures, we're talking about having all of the supportive conditions, supportive conditions for practicing, such as having food to eat, clothes, the opportunity to learn from a qualified teacher. We have that kind of ability. We have a good mind, a good heart. So whatever age, whether you're young or old, if you have these kinds of leisures, this kind of opportunity, then you have the freedom to make use of it. No. When we talk about the leisures, so as I mentioned, there are the 8 leisures. So these are 8 leisures where you're free of situations where you have no possibility of practicing. So one of the situations where you have no way of practicing the Dharma is if you're in the hell realm. So in the hell realms, then you're so overwhelmed by the suffering of hot and cold that you don't have the opportunity. You don't really have you just don't have the possibility of practicing Dharma. No. And then secondly, as a preta or yidak, preta, what do you call it, a hungry ghost, we say in English. So there you have so much suffering of hunger and thirst. We hear stories of pretas that just never get to see even a drop of water. So they have so much suffering. No.
망치에다 통과야 마디신 딱 티려서 통과를 봐. 그래서는 거주 미 배조단야 소치. 간다 딘데다 고랑서 거는 찍찍서게 요라나 간다 그게 미 거주 와라. 간다 대선도 추시야 코매요. 메고 마치.
Then thirdly is an animal. So we can see animals. Most animals we can't see, but there are animals that we see. And so those animals, they have no possibility of practicing Dharma because of being completely under our control and just completely used by us human beings. No.
초질 유송 제장다 들려야 제비나 당고 계속 삼바 직전 전에 다리 버는 시야 말 같이 주고 시글 잡을 이런 소 삼바 좀 하고 이선 두시면
No. No, this no. Then the next one that's the fourth one is being born as a long life God, which means a cognitionless God. So this is said to be these kinds of gods are born in the in part of the one part of the fourth form realm, the fourth form realm. And so they're called cognitionless because when they're born, they're aware that they've been born, and then when they die, then they're aware that they're going to die, or they're aware that they're dying. But in between, for vast periods of time, they have no like discernment of anything at all. So no cognition means like no discernment of anything at all. No. And then you'll talk also like in a sort of a borderland, I think we usually call this a borderland. What this means is that even if the Buddha has come into the world, you've been born in a place where the Buddha's teachings don't reach, and so therefore you have no opportunity to practice the Buddha's teachings at all. No. Likewise, even born as a human being, we could have wrong view. So our mind is filled with the wrong view, and this prevents us from being able to practice the Buddha's teachings. No. And then being born in a dark period, what that means is a period in between the teachings of the two Buddhas. So a Buddha has come into the world, and then that Buddha's teachings are finished. The teachings of the next Buddha have yet to come. So that period is called a dark period. So then you might even have been, you might even have plenty of wisdom, but because there are no teachings of the Buddha around, so there's no way for you to practice. No. No. And then the being born with one's sense faculties missing, some sense faculties missing. So what this refers to is like in the case of some people, from the time that they're born, then they can't hear. So this is an obstacle to being able to practice the Buddha's teachings as well. No. Then there are the 10 anyway, so you got the 8 leisures and the 10 I can't remember what it says here, but anyway, the 10 endowments, let's see, fortunes, sorry, fortunes. So the 10 fortunes, this refers to the 5 fortunes relative to oneself, and then 5 fortunes relative to others. And so these are listed by Nagarjuna in his text, the letter to a friend. No, like being born as a human and so forth. No. So even just what this means is that even just having been born as a human means that you have fortune, and you have of the 10, then you have the first of the 10 fortunes. No. No. Yurwala.
아니 유익해봐 징조라스.
No. So I don't know if there's really anything we can do about this, but usually I can't hear the first few words that Rinpoche says, and usually that's okay, but so this time it was a bit difficult to hear. So the next one is being born in a central land. So born as a human and then born in a central land. And so sometimes this is sort of defined in geographical terms, but mainly what it means is a central land is a place where there are the Buddha's teachings. No. No. And then having all of one's faculties intact, such as one's physical faculties, having those all intact, all complete. No. Then next is having a special mental attitude, which means having an appreciation for and a conviction in, appreciation for virtue. No. No.
아니 다 나버디 상계 땜발라 대화 유연상 아니 랑유 대외 균조를 다 랑유 대외 랑유 다 대외 조르니 그렇지
No.
No.
And then the fifth is having faith in the Buddha's teachings. So these five described as the five fortunes. Was it fortunes? Yeah, for the relative to oneself. So five fortunes that you have in your own continuum. No. Then for the five relative to others, the first one is the Buddha, the Buddha being in the world. Well, of course, the Buddha isn't actually in the world at the moment, but we do have teachers in the world that are showing explaining the Buddha's teachings. So we have that one. No. Then there's the fortune of the Buddha's teachings. What this means is that the Buddha didn't simply come into the world, he also turned the wheel of Dharma. In other words, he didn't just come into the world, but he taught. So we have that. No. Then we have the fortune of a special period or time, which means that the Buddha's teachings, so the Buddha came into the world, taught, and also those teachings remain. No. And then the next one is that we ourselves have actually engaged in those teachings of the Buddha. No. And then the fifth one is that we are somehow guided by or taken care of by the virtuous friend. No.
이 상에 될 미르 림보치 샤라 자침보 모두 쓰래 도치.
And a human life that has all 18 of these attributes is described as a precious human life. No.
어떤 거 친구 대송으로 봐 가서 네가 리나 키나 되다네 전시선나 전면 다워 팡스 다들 텐조 류디德智랑 야고치 탑디요 단다 다디 니야 죽절을 상담이나 니야 깔래 하고 싫어서니까 진짜 상담이 아니 다가 기나를 수도 봐 별로셔 대학이 아니 이 가서 대학 뒤수 요 말했어 되다면 되다 요 말했어
What Lama Tsongkhapa, Jirimshi Lama Tsongkhapa says is that we have these leisures and fortunes, and if we think of the causes that produce such a life, then we see that it's something which is very difficult to achieve, and for that reason, we see that there's really no time to just hang around and waste this opportunity. No.
전시선나 전면 다워 팡스 제가 류디 톰니 통다 전부 시부 누구 예빈자 아니 통다 매워지 대대 팡야 돼서 통다가 폴라당시나 팡고르스.
What he says is that given that with this precious human life, there's such great things that we can achieve, it would be a terrible loss for us to waste this opportunity. No.
어디 송인상 아니 대조 류디 인지 터버들 레터버 짠데면서 랑그랑 인지미지 뽑아게가 아니 뽑아게베 토네 다 개치슈디 안 투성 공성 뭐다 터버체 안 제버체 아니 고미야 양내 양도 비게 아니 즉 고미는 턴다 전부 쉽지 까마지가 나는 턴다 전부 쉽 두두요 봐. 뭐 딘데 체제 뭐 딘데 이메래.
And so this human life, precious human life, with all of the leisures and fortunes, which is so difficult to achieve. We have achieved it, we have it, and so we should be filled with confidence, and with that confidence apply ourselves to listening to the teachings, reflecting and meditating, with the understanding that actually even in a very short moment of engaging in these activities, you can achieve so much. No.
니버디 쇼이다 니버디 니기 초라 너자 추더요 다이 초라 시나 매다르바 랑도 제베 티무 문화지 고유범 제설랑이 이사도시.
No. Then we're going to go on to the second verse. So it says, the mind of attachment to loved ones wavers like water. The mind of hatred of enemies burns like fire. The mind of ignorance that forgets what to adopt and what to discard is greatly obscured. Abandoning one's fatherland is the Bodhisattva's practice. No.
마도 지단 가래서나 아니 과외 잡아 당진 비기 가서 당지 방사비는 다고 개발 과외 과외ሽ네 개발야 말봐 다가는 신 추비 내로 지마 지심무슨 챙이네 뭐 갖게 개발야 말 레레 탐지 찍도다 당진 이게 견하고 살봐 어디체 다 간단 더 되나 쌤 두버지나 쌤 되나 전주 쌤다 장민지디 교육한 과지나 아니 거의 가봐 쉬네 개발야 말에 단데 디송아디 레 통보 봐 송고 있어래.
This verse is really addressed to a beginner practitioner, somebody who's just embarking on the Bodhisattva practices. Because otherwise, for somebody whose mind is already subdued with loving kindness, with compassion, with bodhicitta, for such a person, wherever they stay is okay. But when you're a beginner, then it makes a difference where you are. So that's why it talks about abandoning the fatherland. No.
차단이 싫어 문에 전에거든. 되게 랑다 랑기다 니시 파마서 되고는 망고지가 통에 차단기야 되게 슉쳐요. 계속다. 은 보유 방법에서도 팀을.
When you're a beginner, if you want to practice Dharma purely, then you need to recognize that if you do stay in your fatherland, as it describes it here, your homeland, your fatherland, then you're going to have very strong attachment and anger arising in connection with your parents and other family members. No.
보유리야 아니 랑게 파마다 아니 년년데 어딘데 sol다 지지 핀즈自动个랑게 sol을命的对对下被出的有些我的顶的son上我顶的人son
Staying in your homeland, your fatherland, then you're going to have very strong attachment arising for your, like your side, because you're there with your parents, with your friends and your relatives. So you have this perception of like who's on your side, and a lot of attachment arises. No.
모티베 릴이야. 아니 현쇼 체제 다이 촐 때니 아니 가다 시다 랑기 개와 간사부터 반 좀야. 계속 좀야기 아니 시다베 매단바 그랬어.
So as it says, attachment wavering like water, and then the people who you perceive as being like the other side, your enemy. So you feel you tend to get very angry with them, and you want to destroy them, and so this anger arises in your mind, which is just like a fire burning inside. No.
통제 초라 랑도 수신제래 정신념네. 아니 바 제론 저단 띠무 머리고 멤버 멤버는시 탭띠 우리서 맨날 sense.
And you'll also be obscured by the darkness of ignorance, not knowing what's the right thing to do and what are the wrong things that you should avoid. And so that's why it says here, the mind of ignorance that forgets what to adopt and what to discard is greatly obscured. No.
아니라 되게 쐐냠네 잘 간다 간에 차단 첨부께서 차도 나게다 간다 되게 runzing 됐을래야 아니 정말 제가 봐요고 내 담보이나 위에비나 싫어 돼요 어떠셨나 근데 대체해서
And so what this is saying is that if you can, then when you're in a place where you have so much attachment arising and anger, pride, jealousy, then if you can, it would be better to be to go elsewhere, to leave that place behind. No.
명모 림기집 남이 매베 개조 남기펠 리버탄베 쳬라 니시게 엠바탄바 제사라는 인스 어두스시도스
No. In verse 3, so this says, so this is about how to resort to literally how to rely upon an isolated place. So it says, when harmful places are abandoned, disturbing emotions gradually diminish. Being without distraction, virtuous endeavors naturally increase. Being clear-minded, certainty in the Dharma arises. Resorting to secluded places is the Bodhisattva's practice. No.
Ani chaso nyomo rimji tipa doja shamdu pete rangi gyuti ma chungchin ma dios ma chungdo bege jaro chungdo ni ani bige kasore takanda chungdo ne takada tsurin lawa bige karesana shini shidi jaba oda teleba doya tsurin lawa ya boyonya 당하는 시 ani bige system lesuran tingzil bige oda tingzigi 내줘 어디 딘데스 제네 다 고송 영화 이송 계조 난게 배야 어디래 연구해서
When you're when you're in a place where you have a tendency for lots of attachment, anger, ignorance, pride and jealousy to arise, so such a place is called a bad place. That's the meaning of a bad place. And so if you're able to give that up and go to an isolated place where this doesn't happen so much, then what you'll find is that your attachment and so forth become less and less. Your practice of morality goes well. Your mind becomes concentrated, and naturally your mind turns towards engaging in virtue. No.
what be sure ni shi ji se ta kan da ani sem cha da da sem mo zhu qian ni en sem bi ge ding zi sem le su rong ma chu na wo da di yu de zang ba de na ga de se na ri ba tang be s wo sem le su rong yi de zang ba en sure ni shi ji se chu ge ne lu bi ge ka so le kan de yi mi bi ge jia ba qian ni ta kan da na zu ge qi xue di ani chu ge ne lu di ji dang却他们就单这个丁中啥的引导的可这是这些单的嘛都早晚的买吧丁中啥的可是呢先王的时候先单的吧先王上涨呢让王给买吧这个让王给买是这个过去请不来的让王给买吧那就当人心买吧那让我呢买吧什么我有的那让王给买吧让王买是先这个先单的吧我的的口头的话我的上涨帮我丁中帮我程度的你些见呢呢跨我被他帮的等给的吧特别我的来他不就都在用过的是我都想你去了你些件事都是
It talks about gaining certainty about the Dharma. So the thing is that your mind not being agitated by attachment, anger, and so forth means that your mind is going to become very good, very peaceful, and then your mind will be very clear. And when you have that kind of clear mind, then that makes you so much more capable of analyzing the actual way of being a phenomena. So what does that mean, the actual way of being a phenomena? It means thinking about dependent arising. It means understanding that absolutely everything which exists depends upon other things. So there's nothing which is completely independent. Everything is dependent Therefore, there's nothing which is independent. And so we talk about things not existing by nature, not existing from their own side, not existing independently. And of those, I think the main one is to understand it in terms of things not existing independently, because we can see that they don't exist independently through understanding that they depend upon other factors. And so this is all to do with understanding how the fact that things are empty, the fact that things are dependent, that somehow supports them being empty, and being empty supports the fact of them being dependent. No. So we can see anyway that for a beginner, it's quite, an obstacle, quite difficult to be in your homeland, and it's very effective, very useful to put yourself in a place which is more isolated or secluded. No. There is a verse in the Sutra Alankara, which is a text by Maitreya. So that's the ornament of Mahayana Sutras, Sutra Alankara. So there Maitreya, so this is by Maitreya, and Maitreya describes the kind of place that is good to be in for these practices of meditation and so forth. So he says it should be a place where it's easy to get the food and clothing that you need. So that's one thing. Second thing is it should be a place where there's no danger, like the danger of robbers and so forth. Then in terms of the sort of like the area should be, the place should be healthy, the water should be healthy. And then fourthly, he talks about good companions. So if possible, the best thing would be if your companions in that place are people who have a higher level of realization and who are more learned than oneself. And so then besides that, being in a place where it's not too noisy. So like, you don't really, if you want to spend your time reflecting, meditating and so on, you don't want to be in a place where there's the loud noise of traffic day and night. You want to be in a nice, peaceful place. No.
Hey. 미터고 텐즈들이샤 미터고 텐즈 유일은 초베 자시 소소테 베베 주베 노즈 슈두르 르긴던가 남시 던베 버 세들란다 제살라니 인스 모토차나 데리샤
Now we're going to move on to verse 4. So verse 4 says, so this one is about thinking of impermanence, reflecting on impermanence. And so the verse says, long associated companions will part from each other. Wealth and possessions obtained with effort will be left behind. Consciousness, the guest, will cast aside the guest house of the body. Letting go of this life is the Bodhisattva's practice. No.
깨반에 지마시 봐도 아니 되게 유일은 뭐 초스탁한다. 파마단 자시 소베 간다도 프로비네. 아니 시베체 라와메 와다 소소 텐로 봐. 오. 제가 예신스.
And so there are our parents and friends who we've been together with from the day that we were born, who we spend our time with up until our death. So all of these, every single one of them has to be, we have to separate from them eventually. No.
다 배웠으면 강에 첨부시 이거사 동이 강에 망고 때문에 배 두샤에 다 변조 노제 디게 노제 슈들루사 노제 탐지 아니 집에서 개와요 말라는 개와 완전요 말에 랑개와 완전 매버체 노제 디게 슈고 용로면 셉체 다 두자 셔로 아니 가르스면 아니 비게 디게 판 르마도 딘데 커시 망고 유댕이도 와 오, 다들 치들을 노제 사사 아니 시그라고 키야야 마 건저 영어로 말아 제가 딘데 무이땡이 딘데 망고 용구도 제가 어 딘데스 슈도 류서 슈도 고 그 가샤비는 대체 랑다 부규로 봐오 딘데스 디송을 도치
And so, yeah, I mean, when the time comes to die, then you leave all of them behind, right? So they're all left behind. No matter how long you've spent with them, you have to leave them behind. And then it talks about, let's see, with effort, wealth and possessions obtained with effort. So when it says effort, what it means is we work so hard, even creating a lot of negative karma in order to gain our wealth and possessions, but at the time of death you have to leave all of it behind. You'll have no say, no control over it at all. And you see people, when they die and they see that they're going to have to leave all this behind, they even cry about it. So anyway, it says left behind. Okay, left behind. So left behind. So yeah, I mean, it stays. And you have to go. When you die, you have to go. You have to leave it all behind. No.
다 랑게 류디 헨베드문에 타네 디고사야 조 가르스나 다 류디가 류기 ton다 아 이게 가서 류디 집에 영야지 어제든 이내야 류디 정한도 보시 되나 남시디 유디 삼바 남시 들었으나 류디 용니 남시 고타이 야고 챘나니 아니 타고신 타르바 도베 인다 안기 탕고로 봐 제 맵이 있네 타고신 비 집서 친제 공원에 작은 너지 동네에서 지금 로비다 안기 탕고래 제 맵이 있네 간다 남시 가원 누구 있네 라마메 누구를 봐 누드 삼바 류긴 정한 남시 정도 벌써 어떤 정보판 도산 정아 육샤반나 시제 버르세
No. And then the consciousness, which is the guest, will cast aside the guest house of the body. So it's true, our body is like a guest house. So our body, which is what we create most of our negative karma for. We create most of our negative karma for making this body comfortable and, for the pleasure of our body. And yet, like a guest house, we have to leave it eventually. If possible, of course, the best thing would be if we leave it behind and go on to a pure land where there's no suffering of birth, aging, sickness, and death. So that would be the best thing. But even then, still the body is like this guest house which has been left behind. No.
tanda 춘주 아니 세디 베게 세디 지고 아니 잡아다 쥐어봐배 딱 응네 깔리 침부 잡아 줘 봐. 어떻게 발로 다 가래서는 세침에 빈지 다 쳐봐서 침배제로 치마 랑 떼네 대봐 땡게 대봐 떼네 대봐 제발 두야 던다라 아니 우리 대체하고를送래 미다고 장고를 세디 네 투주를 뭐 싫어요 말에 세상 어디 되니 미도인도 시겠니 랑고 던다 두스 온도스래
No. And then it says, what is it? Long associated conscious. Well, anyway, okay. So maybe it's not in the verse, but the point is that this verse is telling us that that we should completely discard activities which are practically pointless. More or less pointless, because all they do is help us in this life. So give up those actions and instead apply yourself to achieving the lasting happiness. And how to encourage oneself to put one's energy into achieving such a goal is by reflecting on impermanence, by understanding that this life is so short, and so we really need to use it to achieve something really really meaningful. No.
말 메스 되네 파트 때문에 수도 요하면서 파 몸을 쉬고 사이 동봉 말 메스 동봉에 아니야 되게 소소 되는 요거 말 메스 요 메스 나 동봉에 요거 메 그래서 가게 됐어 메스 에메네들 랑세 미드나 그 제규지도 많이 왔어. 다 임바 단다디 가사. 우주 통해서 뭐 그게 우주를 사단데 다 간다디 로망고 쉬위루기야 봐. 어딜이야? 아니 랑게스템 데마도네 네데 랑게스템 데마도네. 그냥 제규 가리요. 제가 내가 가리요. 이제 코란 디스 송도 어디 코란 송도 도잖아. 많이 와서.
And in fact, Gyaltsen, the Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva, the author of this text, Yeah, anyway. Ngulju Dhamma Badra, anyway. Rebe, Gyatse Ngulju Dhamma Badra. Tomizambore, la, Kunda. Tomizambore. I can't hear. I can't. Tomizambo, no, sorry, I got mixed up. So Rinpoche was saying, so something that the Bodhisattva Tomizambo himself said is that he said of himself, I have no enemies to subdue, I have no friends to protect, I have no servants that I need to get on with. I think I got most of it anyway, most of that verse. So then he says, in this isolated place, so he was talking about the Ngulchu hermitage, where he spent many years, many years in retreat. So he says, you know, what work is there for me to do other than subduing my mind? No. And so if you have the merit, then, you know, naturally you'll have plenty of wealth and possessions and so on. Nevertheless, it's even in that case, what you need to think is that life is short, and what I need is to listen to, you know, study the Buddha's teachings, listen to the Buddhist teachings, and reflect on their meaning and meditate. That's what I really need. No. Come in Yishulo. No. No. So I would like to stop today at this point. No. And then no. But it's okay. We have tomorrow and the next day, so we can carry on with this tomorrow and the next day. Okay. Thank you. No. And so thank you, everybody. And so everybody's very kind, and we'll carry on with the teaching tomorrow. Okay.